Hey, this is John from OptixEQ, and I want to talk about OptixGRID today. That's our past performance utility. And you can look at data so many different ways. It's a pretty cool tool. You can see all the fields that we have. We have the Optix notes, we have Optix fig range, our figures, race shape information, all the past plot information of races. So it's pretty cool. The first thing I want to kind of point out is when you load OptixGRID, it takes a little bit, but it loads all the data for the horses. Lifetime past performances. Once it's in there, you can kind of maneuver the data. It's really quick to kind of use and cut and paste and all the rest. I mean, cut and slice the way you want to look at the data. So one of the things I like to do is kind of, first thing I like to point out is this easy panel thing. And what this does is, say for instance, there's fields you don't want it because it's just too much and you want to cut them out. Or add fields. Run up information is one of the things, like temporary rail run up information. If you're interested in that, you can turn it on. If you're not, you can turn it off. Optix notes, if you want to turn that off, I don't know why you would, but if you turned it off, it would turn off. You turn it back on. So you could just basically go through this and select the settings that you want. Once you're satisfied with the fields you want, you can save it so that, as you go on from one race to the next race, that's saved and you don't have to, open and close fields that you want. It's all set the way you want it. The next thing I like to kind of use is these filters, and filters kind of just, again, give you another slice of the data. One that I like in particular is the last 90 days. I feel like this gives me kind of an idea of where the horses sit in their current form cycle, the last 90 days, and it gives me like a quick view of that, and so I can just see if there's any kind of projections or anything that kind of stick out to me, where the horses are running within today's fig range, that kind of stuff. If I don't like that, I could clear that out. If that's not what you want to see, you can clear the filters. Always go to the clear filters button. That'll clear it out. Let's say you just want to look at today's surface and distance, and you can look at the horses with today's surface and distance filter. And you can see what it does essentially. And you can do this too, right? So you have the options of customizing and doing your own versus just using our standard ones. But if you could say turf here, you see the T, and then the 8 furlongs. Let me just blow this up a little bit so you can see it, right? You see the T here, and then you see 8 furlongs. So you can change this. Let's say you wanted not just 8 furlongs, but you wanted route. You could type in route, right? That's just all that's doing is searching for that criteria, and you'll see that you'll pull in. And we do for this 7.5 furlongs, we consider that a route, 2-turn turf races. So you pull those in too. So I think that's kind of a useful tool. So again, you can customize these the way you want to customize them, and you go here and you can find out you can do all kinds of operations. So if you look at filter operator help, right, you can see that there's a bunch of information here on how to actually use this. One that I like to use is an exclamation point. That's data that does not contain search item. So for instance, let's say today was a sloppy, don't know what the conditions are right now, Gulfstream, but let's say the track was off, it wasn't firm, there was rain, and you say, hey, I just want to see turf routes, but I want to see all the ones that were not firm. So I would put the exclamation point here and then just type in firm. So what that means is not firm. So I want things not matching firm. And you see how we get all the yielding and good and stuff. Just another way of kind of cutting the data. So if today was a sloppy day, I want to see how horses perform in that kind of environment. Okay. If I don't like any of this, again, I clear the filters out. I go back here. And one other thing that I kind of like to look at or do is let's look at the Optix fig range. It's 82 to 88. So what I might want to do, and let me just scroll here on this operand stuff. I want to look at things that, figures that are greater than or equal to this fig range. So the bottom of the fig range is 82. So if I say greater than or equal to 82, boom, I get all the speed figures that are greater than or equal to the bottom end of the Optix fig range. I think that's kind of a useful thing. So if I wanted, again, now use the surface and distance also, so I would click that. So now I'm getting, at today's surface and distance, all the horses that ran above the bottom of the fig range. Okay? Interesting. We only arrive at one horse. Quite interesting. But anyway, I mean, this is the power of this. I mean, there's so many permutations, iterations of things you can do in terms of what to look at, and you can look at these filter helps because it could get you could do this and make it very complex. You can use and, you can use or. For instance, let's say, let me just clear the filters again. Let's get back out. Let's say I wanted to use a more complex one, and I wanted to say, look, I want every horse that's, greater than, 82 and, less than 88. You can do that too. So, I mean, there's just, and you see data containing search items is matched. So it's, you could do complex iterations of this. Let's clear this out. So you can see, if I'm looking at today's class is an allowance. You can see it's the purple. All the run lines for, today's race is all in purple. So if I want to look at allowance 5,000, I could do that and see which horses competed at this level. If I just want to look at allowance races, I could do that. So you get the idea. There's just so much you can do. The Optix fig range for past races is there too. So you want to just compare maybe races maybe at the same class level to see if the race was strong or not. Tons of stuff. So all quite interesting. The other thing that you can do, one of the last things I want to show you, you can see you can just go crazy with this. But one other thing you may want to look at doing is sorting. So if you want to sort, and by the way, if you just again hover over, you can see each of the fields has a description. So if you're confused on what these fields mean, again, just a reminder to do that. But let's say if I want to just sort on speed figure, what it does, if I click here, it sorts ascending. So you get all the scratches. If you want to get rid of all the scratches, you could just say greater than 0, right? And that'll just give you the numbers. So this is sorted in ascending order. If I want descending order, I just click it again, and it goes from the top to the bottom. So, this is the sorted speed figures. And if I want to say, okay, I just want to look at that in the last, 90 days, this is what you get. So, I mean, as you can see, there's lots to do. So have at it. Hopefully this was kind of just gives you an idea of the power of OptixGRID. It's an interactive handicapping tool. And I think as you more and more you use this, the more and more you'll get comfortable with the things it can do. Okay, thanks.